Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, enough about the Maple Leafs. Let's get to your deal for Hanifin, where he's going to go, the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where he wants to go. We certainly expect him to go to the Tampa Bay Lightning, but as we know, this time of year, anything can happen. There's going to be that one deal or two that's going to just knock our socks off. So, but anyway, yes, Hanifin has indicated that he wants to go to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and as we've seen with some of the recent deals and moves that Julien Brisebois and the Lightning have done, they acquire a player in a trade who they can extend not long after. We saw that with Brandon Hagel, with Nick Paul, just to name a few, and that would certainly be the case with Hanifin. So Hanifin would sign an 8-year deal, $7.5 million, the AAV, and that would just be traded to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Tampa gets him with that extra year, of course. And then going back to the Calgary Flames would be a first rounder in 2026, because that's the only first rounder that Tampa has left to offer up. And then I've got a couple of prospects. And so Lucas Edmonds is a third round pick who put up 113 points, I believe, a couple of years ago in the OHL with the Kingston Frontenacs. I did look this up earlier, and I will confirm that. And so the reason why I've got Edmonds going in this deal is because he's a very good prospect. And yes, he did have 113 points in 68 games 2 seasons ago with the Kingston Frontenacs. So the reason why I've got Edmonds, the former third-round pick, included in this deal, one, he's a good prospect. Two, we've seen a bit of a theme here with the Calgary Flames in the last 2 trades that they've made for Lindholm and Tanev. And what is that theme? Prospects out of the Ontario Hockey League. Hunter Brzustevich, excellent defenseman for the Kitchener Rangers, one of the top scorers. So he's number one. Artem Grushnikov, who of course was in Hamilton. They're now the Brantford Bulldogs, of course, in the OHL, but you've got him as well. And so that is why I've got Edmonds included in this deal, because clearly the Flames value whoever they have scouting out of the Ontario Hockey League. And so that is why I've got Edmonds included in this deal. And then as a player who has been up in the lineup from Syracuse, he's a young right shot defenseman. He's a BC guy, and I think could fit in really well with the Flames and get potentially a full-time opportunity without injuries like what's been going on in Tampa Bay, namely with a guy like Sergachev on the blue line. I've got Max Crozier included in this deal as well. And I think that he's someone who Calgary would love to have. Again, a young, big right shot defenseman. Give him an opportunity. He's got some NHL games under his belt already this season, and he's a Western Canada guy. So, again, not as much return, Chad, as you had in your deal, but I think that the reason for that in this trade that I've got here is because this is the team that Hanifin wants to go to. So that really limits things a little bit in terms of the return for the Flames, but I think it's still a good one. They get a first round pick. They get a good prospect in Lucas Edmonds, and Crozier, a right shot D who can jump into your lineup right away if you need to, or play top minutes with the Calgary Wranglers, and he's a Western Canada guy as well. What do you think of this deal? Deal or no deal?
If I'm Calgary, I'm saying no deal to this. I just don't think the value's there from Tampa Bay to Calgary, because if you look at what other teams who are interested in Hanifin are going to be offering, they're going to be offering first round picks, but that are much sooner than 2026. So you've got to discount that 2026 first round pick a little bit. Maybe you could argue that by 2026, Tampa will be even further down the standings, and that could be an even better pick than say the Leafs 2024 pick this year, because they're going to be around the top of the league. But I just think, GMs, even ones who are worried about the long-term plan of the team, they want to get things done now. And they're not super patient. So I just think a 2024 pick holds way more value than a 2026. And that's the first point on value. The second point is, if you're including a prospect from the 2022 NHL entry draft, I don't think it can be Lucas Edmonds. I think it has to be the big man, the Iceman himself, Isaac Howard. I just think he has way more value than any other prospect they have in their system. And, if your first round pick is going to be of lesser value than competing teams, then your prospects have to be better. So Isaac Howard is, the cream of the crop in Tampa, but maybe that's what you have to include to get the value there. And then, your third player, Crozier, I get it. There's a connection there, but it's just, to me as a whole, it's not enough value. So I'm saying no if I'm Calgary.
Okay.
Finally, if you're Calgary, even though Hanifin has expressed interest to go to Tampa Bay, they are under no obligation to trade him to where he wants to go.
No,
he has
he
has a modified no trade clause, which I don't know exactly how many teams are on it, but essentially they can trade him anywhere except for the teams that are on the list. And he might go sign with Tampa Bay in the offseason. Maybe that's what Tampa Bay wants anyway, because they get him, essentially for free. But then you don't get the 25 games in the regular season or the playoff run. But my point is, Calgary is under no obligation to bend over and give Hanifin everything he wants. They can trade him to whoever is going to pay the highest price for the player. And if they don't, then that's just a shame if you're a Flames fan, because you're not getting every penny that you could for a player.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, I figured that the name Isaac Howard was going to come up in this. I mean, it obviously has to. I just, does Tampa want to go down that road when they don't exactly have a surplus of prospects and picks, and he is certainly their best prospect. And look at the World Junior Tournament that he had for Team USA. My goodness! So
I mean, dude, it's coming for Tampa whether they like it or not. Whether they have Isaac Howard or not, they're going to be bad in a few years. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Which and again, you mentioned, how the first rounder this year would be of more value, but by 2026 we don't expect them to be very good, and that is the Gavin McKenna draft as well. So
okay, you've piqued my interest. You've got me.
That's my only counter argument to what you said about the first round picks, and I mean, Tampa just doesn't have another first round pick to give up. I mean, sure, in 2027 or whatever they could, but I mean, if you're Calgary, you're not not doing that. That is just too far down the road. And but yeah, I wanted to mention that as well. And if you're Tampa, if you trade that first rounder in 2026, you are top 10 protecting that shit all day long, aren't you?
Yeah, but good luck, because all the other teams who would be offering a first round pick wouldn't have that condition on it.
That's right.
And that's what I'm saying.
I know.
Hypothetically, a team like Toronto, or a team like even, who knows, right? Like Boston or Florida, who have picks that are coming up sooner, might be able to outbid Tampa. So I don't even though I think it's likely if he gets traded, he goes to Tampa, I just don't think we can call it a foregone conclusion yet. No. Because if that deal goes through and the value isn't close to what we thought it was going to be, then if you're a Flames fan, you're rioting. You're burning down the stadium. Like that, it's just, and
That's all right. They're building a new one anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So burn it now, and then go play at a college rink for a little bit, and then have a couple teams in the league doing that.
Oh, frig.
But no, I just think you have to squeeze every penny, nickel and dime out of Noah Hanifin, and
for sure.
If that means trading him to Arizona. Say Arizona wants to pay 3 firsts. Like, you just have to do it, right?
And I mean, Arizona has certainly shown interest in Noah Hanifin, although I don't think that would happen. But hey, anything can happen. And he wants to go back to the United States at the end of the day. So I suppose it doesn't have to be Tampa Bay, even though that would be his desired destination. And again, just before we wrap up and move on to our next player here, if you're Calgary, I mean, the fact that Hanifin didn't accept your 7.5 times 8-year deal, it's all the more reason for them to basically say, we don't give an SHIT. We're sending you to whichever team gives us the best value.
Have we sworn yet this podcast, or because you spelled that, are we able to make it not explicit for iTunes? Is that?
I don't know. I was thinking about saying it, and then I don't know. I just decided to go in a different direction.
It's funny. I think for most episodes, I tag it as explicit, but the odd one, I think in my head, I'm like, I don't think we swore that episode. So then I'll put it as, not. But anyways,